Hello everyone, it's Corey Stoker here from SkySwitch, and I have an exciting feature to show you today inside of vBroadcast. Many of you already use vBroadcast for your call campaigns and SMS campaigns, but we're going to be looking specifically at appointment reminders. If you're not already set up with vBroadcast, just head on over to our docs and look for vBroadcast or the word dialer, and you'll find a setup request form along with the setup and usage guide for the application. In this video, we're going to be sticking specifically to the new appointment reminder feature and how to use it. I'll also show you some pretty cool ways you can use some third-party applications along with the API to insert appointments, making this an extremely useful tool for any kind of office that does appointment scheduling. Now again, this is one of those features where your imagination and either programming skills or an application like Zapier or IFTTT can take you a long way. Okay, so now let's go over and take a look at the vBroadcast dashboard. This is a test server, it's not production, that's why it's showing as not secure. Obviously when it is in production it'll be secured. You can do some branding on the vBroadcast application, which you can see inside of that document I showed you just a second ago. And this is what it would normally look like inside of your dashboard. So there would be a drop down for Manage vBroadcast, and this is the reseller view. But we're going to be doing this inside of the demo dashboard. And to access the domain, we're going to use a domain called a vDialer test, which I use for most of my vDialer testing, and just log into it. Now this is the view that your end user would see if they have the entitlement and they are logged in themselves. They can do all of this themselves, so you can train them on how to do this and really be hands-off at that point. So we're going to start off by looking at recipient group management. I'm going to create a new group and we're going to call this demo video. We're going to just give it a description of demo, and then we're going to select appointment reminder group as yes, and what this will do is it'll generate an API token here, and you can pull this at later steps. There's an API integration guide, so you can basically add appointments and users by this API token using either a third-party application or a curl request or your own application. So I'm going to click on create here, which will create the group, and then we just click on this little person icon to add recipients. Now you can import and export your recipients, but for now I'm just going to go into create recipient and give them the name Corey, do an 11-digit phone number. This has to be 11 digits. And we'll set an appointment date for tomorrow at 1300. This is military time. Then we have a phone type. There are options for both call and SMS. If you do both, what the caller receives is actually going to be dependent on what's set up in the reminder management. This just gives them the ability to receive either a call or SMS or both. So for right now, I'm going to select both and then click on create. And we have one user, so we'll go over to reminder management. I'll click on create reminder. And from here, we'll just name this Corey Test. We'll select the demo video recipient group that I just created. And here is where it shows both call or SMS. For right now, I'm just going to do an SMS campaign. Now, you do have to have a toll-free number routed as SMS to that domain somehow. So you could have the DID routed as SMS either to like a ReachUC user or email. It just has to be associated with this domain. And it has to be toll-free for the SMS portion, while the call portion can be toll-free or not toll-free. So I'm going to select the DID I have assigned to this domain. And if you look at the text or the info, there are a couple placeholders that you can fill in here. So you can say hi. And we are working on adding a few more placeholders. Now the scheduling information, it allows you to select a number of days before the event. I'm going to do 1 day before, and this will take anyone from the list and it'll go through the entire day and send a notification at the time that you choose. It also shows your time zone here, and that's associated with the user who's logged in, their time zone. Right now it is 16:16 Eastern time, so I'm going to set this to be 16:18. We're going to do no effective end date, and this campaign will just continue to run as we add new appointments. So in about a minute, which I'll probably fast forward through this video, we'll see a reminder come in. Okay, and it looks like it just hit. So there it is. And you can see it filled in the placeholders with the name and date and time of the appointment there. So just with using the GUI, we could go into the recipient management group. We can edit this and add as many users as we want. We can continuously add users with their preferences as we set appointments. Now there's just a couple notes in this video for you. If we go back into create a reminder, and then we just do call, or we look at the call tab here, there is an option to do text-to-speech. Right now it's just using some random engine, but we are working on integration with Amazon Polly to make this a little bit more accurate. So at the start, if you start using this right out of the gate, you might just want to use the playback message. But in the very near future, we'll have some Amazon Polly integration. Now also, when you're sending automated text messages, you have to have a way for people to opt out of those text messages. So inside of our user guide, there's going to be a URL, and that URL is used to integrate the vBroadcast portal with the Manage DID portal. So what you would be able to do is go into Manage DIDs, then go in and find your DID. And from here, click on the SMS and just simply add another recipient. This is going to be a URL. And for now, I'm just going to paste this in, click on save. And this URL might change in the near future as well, so be aware of that. But what this does is if the person replies with the word stop, unsubscribe, or end, it will unsubscribe them from the messages. So it'll show up here on the unsubscribed SMS numbers, and you cannot remove people who unsubscribe. So the only way they could resubscribe is by texting back either subscribe or unstop to that DID. Okay, so let's do something a little bit outside of the box. We're going to go back to the recipient management groups. I'm going to create a new group, and we'll just call this API test. Name it API test again. We're going to set it as an appointment reminder group. I'm going to take this key here and copy it over into a notepad on another screen. You can click on the API integration guide to see exactly what you need, and there will be some example curl requests on this page by the time it releases to production as well, but it's basically these fields that are going to be required to add an appointment by API. You could also remove an appointment by API, so we could kind of make an interactive texting application by using the tools we already have today. So again, I got that copied. I'm going to head over to Zapier. And I'm going to go back and click create, so that gets created. And let's make a zap. Okay, so I have an idea in mind of what I want to do. We're going to start with a webhook, and we're going to catch a hook. I'm going to copy this. We're going to go back into the DID portal, and we're going to send a copy of the inbound messages back out to Zapier. Okay, so I'm going to click on continue here and test and review. Now we're just waiting for a text message from my cell phone, and it says schedule a query, my phone number, the date, and the time. So assuming the person had a way to send a text message with the proper formatting, meaning they already knew the proper formatting, we could get this in. Now we need to format this text message to separate it out into other fields. And we're going to do that by using the formatting tool. So formatter by Zapier, it's going to ask how we want to format it, and we're going to format some text here. and it's asking us how we want to transform that text. And there's a bunch of different options, but what I want to do is split the text. It's asking us which value we want to split, and we're going to choose the actual text message part. And now the separator, the space is the default, and this is space separated, so this is actually how I want it. And the segment index, this is what we're going to capture after it's split up. And I want all of them as separate fields. So I'm going to click on continue now. We'll hit test and review, and that should split everything up. And there we go. So we have 5 different line items there. Okay, let's add another step. Created a Google Sheet, which I have in the background here, that just has headers. It's already labeled as appointment reminder, and it has headers with the proper format. Now the reason I'm doing a Google Sheet first before sending back to vBroadcast is I want the receptionist also to be able to use the same form to fill in appointments. Now we could also remove appointments, so that would be a whole nother step where we could read the sheet and look for updates to remove appointments. Alright, here we'll go into Google Sheets. We are going to create a spreadsheet row, and we have to connect it to my account. We're connecting to Google Drive, and then we just have to select the spreadsheet, appointment reminder, and sheet 1. So from here we're just filling in the rows. So client name, we're going to grab that from the text. 11-digit phone number, we go down to hour and phone type. So we'll just automatically make phone type SMS and click continue, and we'll just test this out, and it should update the Google Sheet. There it is. However, it changed the date format to some weird thing, so, and also the time, and I think we just need to change the format of these rows. Number, and it looks like we need a custom number format. Okay, so we're gonna choose year, full numeric, dash, month, month with leading 0, day, day with leading 0, apply, and that put it back. So we would want to format this entire row with that same formatting, so we'll go back and format again. Number, and set that. So we're gonna edit this row to be hours and minutes, so we're gonna go to format, number, more formats, and then more date and time formats. Once again, we're gonna get rid of all this stuff, and it's just going to be hours as hour, and minutes as minute. So apply, and 1800. So we fixed that now. Alright, so that is looking good, and future ads should be in the proper format. I'm going to click on Done Editing. Okay, so let's turn this on and name it. Alright, so that should be descriptive enough. And I'm going to create a separate zap now, one that will look for updates on the sheet and then do a webhook call out to vDialer. Okay, so Google Sheets. The trigger is going to be a new or updated spreadsheet row. And we need to select the account here and the spreadsheet and the worksheet, And the trigger should be any column. You can do it on an individual column, but we're going to do any column and test and review. So it should pull in that row that was added, and it did, so we're good there. The next step is going to be to do a webhook, and we're going to do a post, and it's going to be JSON, and we'll start filling out the data here. So we need a token, we need a name, we need a phone number, and if you look at that API guide, this is all the information that's required in that API request. Okay, we're going to start filling in data here, and right now Zapier is having problems. I'm actually waiting on a support response because I saw this earlier, but I think we can get it to work even with these problems, so excuse me while I try to work through them real quick. We're going to take the code here for the token, and we're going to start to try to populate these rows. Okay, annoying errors, and hopefully they'll fix that soon, but I still think this is going to work. We don't need any auth, we don't need to add any additional headers, so we're just going to continue and then test and review. So we got a status code 200, appointment added successfully. And we should be able to go back to here and look at our group. Okay, so that added successfully. So this is working and it should be good to go. Let's turn this one on. I think we can go here to name it. I'll call this check for sheet updates, and back. Okay, so this is new. It says it's instant, but I think this can take a couple of minutes, but let's just try to add a spreadsheet row manually. Okay, so we should expect to see that very quickly if it is actually instant in the recipient management. Not yet. So we can go back to Zapier, we can look for task history and see if anything is fired off, and it hasn't. So we're just waiting for Zapier to check the spreadsheet again, and once it does, it should do a successful push. So now we have it set where a text message will update the Google Spreadsheet row, or the spreadsheet can be updated manually, and occasionally Zapier will come in and look for that new row and send the API request to vBroadcast to populate appointments. And if you have an active reminder management campaign running with this group, it'll just keep on sending at the specified time of day to this group. So really, a receptionist can just go in and put in new appointments as they come up, or you could do the text message, or you could do like a jot form. There's a lot of different options that you could do here, and you should be able to just continuously send notifications unless they unsubscribe. Okay, let's check one more time to see if we got this update. And there it is. There's the second number. This is pretty cool. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can do. Thanks for watching this. I hope it helps. And if you don't have vBroadcast already, again, just go ahead and go into our docs, fill out the sign-up sheet, and we'll get you going.